Happy morning, dear friends. Here's yours, Dr. Ajanta. Welcome to Demystify with Ajay. Today we will begin to use the Pandas library, and which is becoming very familiar with the fundamental objects on which to carry our activities related to data analysis. And here the data structure. And dear friends, Pandas mainly provide two type of data structure to work on. One is series and the data frame. And today is the session we are just going to start with the structured data, the series. And dear friends, this series is nothing more than a sequence of data similar to better known as like a type of data such as like list or a NumPy and array. So let me just make use of the starting with the Pandas library. And of course, we are just going to make use of some examples with NumPy 2. And here, dear friends, let me just, as I have already specified, we are just going to have a similar data types as like a list in the Python. So here it is the list, how we just declare a variable in the list as like 5 or 7 and 11. Of course, we can also have some negative numbers. And here we go. So this is the exact list. And if we want to just make use of that list to be executed, so see here, this is the exact element of the list. And of course, it is also similar as like NumPy array, and how here we are just going to make use of a NumPy array, and I'm just going to declare an array here. And kindly observe, dear friends, here we are just going to give the same elements. Let me just have the same examples, and of course some negative elements too. And when on executing, here is the NumPy array. So series is a type of structured data and therefore has an additional feature compared to this two, that is list or NumPy. And of course, dear friend, an additional array of length corresponding to that of the series values has inside label values that identify the element corresponding to the array of values. So this array is called the index. And kindly just have a note of it, how we are just going to make use this. So if we are having, for an example, of course, this is our element. So 5, 7, 11, minus 1 and 4. Of course, here one of the array which is just going to include is the index. And here it is the index as like this. So of course, so here let me just create the series, and here we go, the series. And let me just create it by using the Pandas, and kindly just note the exact syntax. And here we are just using pd.series, and that exact yes is in uppercase. Kindly have a note of it. So let me just make use of the same element 5, 7, 11 and a negative 2 included. And kindly just have a note of it. If I just print this series, and here we go. So see here, as we can see the exact output in a text format. So the exact internal structure of the syntax is based on two different arrays. On the right we have an array of values which we just called the values, and which contains the input data which we just passed here. So that is the 5, 7, 11, minus 1 and 4. This is what the exact input values. On the left we have inset or self-generated array which we just say the index, and which there is a sequence of integer ranging from 0 to n minus 1. So where n is the length of the data array, that is the values. And in fact, we can separately obtain the two arrays with the values and the index attributes of the series by like this. So kindly have a note of it, even though we can just make use of, if I just want, this is the series, if I just want only the index, yeah, I can just get it. So see here, it is starting from 0 and it just stopping till 5. So totally we are having 5 elements and it is incremented by 1. So since if we are need to have a particular element also as to have a selection like that, yeah, kindly just have a note of it. To access the value of a third element of the series just defined here. So what I just need is print of SER, and I just want to have the third element. So here it is the third element, which is the index 2. And see here, this is the third element here in this series. Yeah, dear friends, here we can also make use of the n dimensional array. That is also it is possible. So which is the same as to the type of series. So here an array of 2, the same thing only. So with this evidence, yeah, it could be assumed that the operating mechanism of the index is largely similar to the implicit indexes in a NumPy array. But in reality, its features are considerably greater. So in fact, the array index can be enhanced to our liking through an array of labels in the same way as the array values are enhanced. Kindly just see here, dear friends, in this we are just going to add one more thing. So let me just take the same particular series. So here I'm just going to have the same series, and one thing I'm just going to add is, let I just change the variable name as series 1 and inclusion of one simple information, that is index. And kindly just have a note of it here. I'm just going to give my own index. It is in a variable. Okay. So when on giving this simple alphanumeric character as label, and kindly just observe what would be the output of this. So see here. So the index array, there are 2 identical label A. Of course, therefore the values within the index do not have an ordinal value as in the NumPy array, but a semantic value. That is, the label must show how report the class of belonging of the corresponding value in the value array A. So concept of a class closely linked to the data analysis, which will prove very useful later, and not a narrow concept of an ordered index typical of mathematical calculation. So here, kindly just have a note of it, dear friends. In our small example, this one, the value belonging to the class labeled with A can be obtained simply. How I'm just going to give it is, see, observe this one. So here I'm just going to give SER1 of that A. And see here, I'm just getting 2 values. That is with a square bracket of I'm just providing as like an A. And here in additional, the value of index array can be defined at any type. And here, yeah, the example which we just seen is, yeah, it can be even overwritten default values generated by the series. And let me just have it towards the constructor, and kindly have a note of it, dear friend. So here it is the example. We are just going to use the series constructor, and kindly have a note of it, dear friends. Here I'm just going to give it as like, and I'm going to make a customizing as like R1, R2, R3. Of course, we have 5 elements and it's R5. And let me just see the series 1. Now observe, dear friends, we can see the sequence of values assigned by default have been totally overwritten with the elements of the array assigned directly to the index. And here we just go for the index constructor 2. I'm just specifying it. So here we are just going for index constructor, and kindly just see here dear friends how I'm just going to make it is the exact index, and I'm going to create an index here. And when on just making this index, yeah, here I'm just going to give it as like, let me just give as like yay, or even we can just go defaultly as like 1 2 3 4 and 5. Okay, so this is my index, and let I just include the series variable. Okay, so this is what the series, and to this series I'm just going to provide the elements, that is the input element. And kindly just to see here dear friends, this one which we have already used elements as like 5 7 11 minus 1 and 4. And here I'm just going to provide the constructor, that is the index constructor, which we are already separately defined there in index, that is IDX variable. So that is what here I'm just going to define here. And kindly just observe the series. So the result is practically the same, but the separate management of the creation of the index array can be useful in any projects with many lines of code, or especially with this can be reused several times to enhance different series or other data structure. And kindly have a note of it dear friends, the series, the correspondence between index and the value. An implicit concept is taken for granted in that example. So the correspondence between the element of the index and the value array within a series is very important and is not fully managed automatically. So it is therefore up to the user to manage it correctly. Okay, let me just, if you want to have a note, so let I just give you one more thing. See here, I exactly have same array here, and here if I just provide, let I give this as a 4, and see here if I just provide any element exact as an fewer elements, the same thing, that values entered in the series constructor, kindly just see here I'm just getting a value error. So this is what that particular, the user has to manage it correctly. How many elements we have just provided, how many indexes available, so that we have to give it manually and should be managed correctly. Okay, now let me just go to the name attribute. Okay, name attribute in the series, and kindly just have a note of it dear friends. If I just provide any particular name attribute towards the series, and if I'm just providing, this is the exact first series. Of course, I have just provided the first series, and if I just want to provide what is there in the first series, kindly just see, I can just give the name of it. So even that internal index array of the series can in turn can have a specific name through the name attribute. Okay, fine. Now let me just see how a series can be built up. Yeah, of course, we have just already seen with the series constructor, and kindly have a note of it dear friends. Whenever we just create a pd.series functionality, kindly note about the syntax. First of all, it has to be the data where you are going to provide the input data. Next, the index. Of course, you can just provide the customized index here, and the d type, which we just say the data type of the input data. And if you want to provide any name to that series, yeah, you can just provide it. And lastly, it is all about the copy. And kindly just note it dear friends, defaultly the copy, it would be in false. So this would be always the type of data. So that the type of copy, it always false. Yeah, of course, let me just see with example. Kindly note it here dear friends. So here I'm just going to give the fourth series, let me just have with the same example. And here I'm just going for the fourth, and yeah, so here of course every input data whichever I have just provided, yeah, it is in an integer format. If I'm just want to directly give its d type as a float, kindly observe now the output, how it would be. So 5.0, 7.0, 11.0. Of course, yeah, it forces the conversion of incoming integer to floating point. So here the data type is float 64. And dear friends, yeah, we have also made use of the NumPy array. So let me just create a series by using a NumPy array. Okay, so see here, this is what an array. So let I just make an array functionality, and I'm just going to give some values 3, 4, 5, 6, and let be one more. Okay, so this one, how would you able to see this one? So actually, yeah, this is a NumPy. Okay, and when you just make use of the print of nda dot d type, kindly just observe what is the data type of it. It is an integer 32. So the data type of data contained within that exact series. Now I'm just going to make this NumPy towards, that is array, towards the series. So here I just go with the series. So pd dot series, I'm just creating a series with that array. And if I just want to print out the series, kindly just observe, dear friends. So here we just have it in an integer. So the same series is also having the integer type. It is maintained within the value of the series. If we want to convert them to another type, yeah, we can force the conversion to the constructor level by adding the d type explicitly as an argument. Okay, fine. Now let me just make use of this series, and we can make a reference or a copy. So kindly have a note of it. So this is what we are just going to do. So this is my array, and here I just give some values 1, 2, 3, and 4. And if I just want to create a series with that NumPy, so let I just create it. So kindly observe, this is what, by varying the values of element of a NumPy array, yeah, used to build the series, yeah, if we want to make any copies or reference, of course, if the correspondent value in the series also, it would be varies. So how it is possible? Yeah, kindly just have a note of it. If I just changing this towards 0, okay, and if I just want to know what happens in the series, so see here, see the exact value. So the corresponding values in the series itself will be varied. So that is how. So the same goes for everything. Of course, by varying the values within the series, the corresponding value in the NumPy array will be varied at the same time. Okay, so to overcome these consecutions, we will use the copy option set to true, that is passed of the series constructor. And kindly just to see, as I have already specified the syntax of the array, it is in the 20th cell. See here, this exact copy, it is defaultly as a false. So let me just change it to true now. So here I just go with SCR7, and here PD dot series, and here I'm just going to use N, and of course this copy here I'm just going to make it touch true, and let me just give print SCR7, and see here we are having 3 that is the exact 3 index. Here it is 0. If I just purposely make changes towards that, see here I just give 45, and if I just want to make it print of N, so 1, 2, 3 and 45. Of course, the NumPy array has been changed. Let me just see what is the series. So of course, I have just given the value series 7, and see it is not changed. So here, it's the most interesting aspect is to take advantages of many data generating function available in the NumPy library, which allows you to automatically obtain fully values, that is array fully values, useful for easy populating the series. So yeah, of course, you can just make use of so many concepts here. Yeah, let I just make you one more. Kindly observe, dear friend. Here, it is possible to create an array containing random values between 0 to 1. So with the random, I'm just going to create. So let me just create the series here. So here A is the series. Let I just create it by random, and of course here I'm just going to give some 5 elements. Okay, and let me print the series 8, and see here, dear friends, so this is the exact value between 0 to 1, and of course this exact function of random module of NumPy, which accepts as an argument the number of values to be generated. So here we have just given 5 values, and yeah, here we just get a series of 5. And the values obtained will vary with each run. Of course, with execution, these exact values would change. And another similar function that is widely used in this NumPy, it is an range. Of course, a range function, which allows you to generate a sequence of values based on a certain rules that sets as an argument. So let me just create that too. So here we go with the series 9, and here let me create the series, and here I'm just going to give np dot a range of from the starting of 1 to 6. Okay, and here let I just print the series 9, and observe, dear friend. So here it is exactly between 1 to 6. So this sequence has a 5 integer, that is from 1 to 5 it has been displayed. There are many other similar functions in NumPy, as well as like zeros function, which generates an array containing the 0 values. Yeah, you can also make use of that. Let I just give the sequence here. So of course we can use np dot zeros of I need 4 values, and if I just want to execute what is there in series 10, kindly observe. So these are all about zeros. And of course you can just create a series from a scalar value. So let me just create a thing in a scalar value. So here it is the example, so kindly just have a note of it. So this is series 11, and I'm just going to give series of 4. So here is a surprise. I'm just going to get, oh sorry, here it is, of course, one value. So it is 4, a scalar value. And in fact, we have the creation of series with a single element containing the inserted scalar as an argument. So to have an effect like that obtained with a zeros method, the array index must also be entered in the constructor. So it will be the length of the index array that will tell the constructor how many elements the array value or populated. You can also have the same thing here. So see here, if I just give an index, if I just give an index as like 1, 2, 3 and 4, of course, kindly just to see here. Yeah. Next one, let me just create a series from a dictionary. So here we just go, let I just give a dictionary, and of course I'm just going to give a key and a value. Okay. And here we just go for the third key and its value. Okay, now let me just create the series 12 here and pd.series from the dictionary. And once on to that, let me just display, execute it. So see here. So here we have A, B, C as the index and the value 12, 34, 56 as the value. So dear friends, we in this session we saw the structured data that are the base of the Panda library, that is series, with some examples. We have also seen how they are structured internally and how to use the index and the exact series functionality. Hope I have just given you a good example how to create the series and how to make use of the access too. Okay, let me just see in the next session with the data frames and to that examples. Have a nice day. Happy learning, dear friends.